I've got a a bucket of a bunch of small things. Um, this one, there was an issue where when we parse or when we don't parse SQL queries, rather, we don't really have a lot of metadata about the result set, and so we currently default assume everything's a dimension. Um, and so when you swap between different chart types, you can get in this scenario where you get dimension plots. And in this case, traffic source is being used twice. So it's a pretty simple fix. Just basically now we investigate the return data and see if something looks numeric, then we flip that and favor it on the rotated y-axis here. So that's one. So now it's persisted. Like it should always doesn't get double encoded. The next one was this funny issue where for some reason one of the libraries we use to encode URL params tacks on this trailing underscore, and that underscore doesn't get picked up when you embed it in different contexts like GitHub issues and a couple of other places. So now when we generate a link, I put in a happy ASCII smiley face at the end instead. So now those links work. The net effect obviously is like people share these links all the time, and then if they accidentally get this unencoded link, like this will just 404. So they were seeing this, which is not desirable. The next thing I added is basically for embed. So now when you click this modal, this is behind a flag still. And we're just keeping it to ourselves until we plan an embed launch. But basically, I added the flag up here in the URL bar. So now you can quickly copy an iframe tag. You can also optionally include filters on the links, and that goes for the share link here and the share link here. There's that. This one was super fun. For some reason in the YAML autocomplete library we're using, um, the library is this interesting mashup where it's basically trying to use a JSON spec to do validation on the YAML. And the two formats are logically interchangeable, but syntactically are very different. And for whatever reason, I still don't understand it, but the library author, whenever they see a JSON spec declaration that says the following value should be an array or should be like an integer, um, they insert these strange symbols. And I've opened a ticket with them asking them why they're doing this, because as far as I know, it's not part of the YAML spec. It's not part of the JSON spec. I suspect their assumption is that they provide this autocomplete as sort of a placeholder, and then you can fill it in with something you want. So that's basically exactly what I did. I just scanned for any of those tokens, and like in the case of alias, the autocomplete now just provides an array literal syntax. Let's see. There's also like default, I forget which. Display order is an example of the integer. So instead of inserting like some weird value like that, display order now just inserts an integer. There's another really good one, query. Query was like, it actually does a complicated insert because the JSON spec knows that these two things were required, and it was inserting something that looks like this. So now, it inserts something that to me seems a little bit nicer. And we get all the nice rich warnings and stuff still. And then the last one was in our SQL editor and field, um, custom field editor, some of the autocomplete definitions had gotten off the rails a bit. And so now if you, I mean, I guess I can just do it in the field editor. But now if you do something like users, um, you get more of what you'd expect, in my opinion. Um, you can, you can still say like, you can get like SQL, autocomplete. Um, None of the field values are coming back as undefined. And I also cleaned up a little bit of like how we display the labels. So if there are labels associated with the field, they appear as plain text. You can still, I think I have a demo, which is like, oh wait, sorry, this is on Playground, not my local. We could, just to make this super concrete, we could go to the model, users, so I guess we could just search for like root. So you can type root and didn't do what I expected it to. All good demos have bugs. Okay, so it found it here. I had expected the search precedence to be higher for this, um, but it's appearing correctly and highlighting now, which in the past it wasn't, or it would just show you something vague that said undefined. So I think the next thing to try to fix here, although it's lower priority, is just getting the search rankings. The library, like there's a way to manually override them, and we try to force it to set the field precedence as highest. But the library seems to be trampling that in certain cases, like this root example, which I would definitely expect a field to override this. But generally better than what it was before.